Hello, my lovelies. I'm Ginny O, the author with no last name, and today I want to talk about another three-word piece of advice. As you can tell, I really don't like three-word pieces of advice because they're so easily misconstrued. And today we're going to discuss further the plot. Now, what this means is there's a very common piece of advice that goes around that says every scene must further your plot. Alright, so a lot of people go through this and they see this piece of advice and they use our previous piece of advice, kill your darlings, to justify going through and removing every single scene that they feel doesn't quote unquote further their plot. And then they end up with a very dry, choppy, very at times very intense, high stakes type of story where there's absolutely no room for the reader or the characters for that matter to breathe. And a lot of times we end up not having what is called attachment to the characters because the characters have been given no time and no words to be people. So, what does this three-piece word of advice really mean? I mean, you would think, oh, it's very, very simple, Ginny. You know, every scene has to further the plot along. Yes, every scene should have some sort of purpose in your story. If you took that scene out, something of your story would be lost, that people would not be able to make sense of your story without it. However, however, a lot of people lose sight of the fact that when they're so focused on the big plot that's, you know, got the high stakes or the most tension, that there are actually other plots that they need to be following. And a lot of these plots involve their characters and character interactions. And these plots aren't necessarily high stakes or tense or, you know, something that will move the big overplot along. But they will provide attachment and development to your characters to make your characters likable or relatable or, you know, provide more of an internal insight to their thoughts, or will develop relationships with the other characters around them so that we believe that they are not trying to be this lone island in the middle of the ocean where nobody else can affect them. Harry Dresden. Harry Dresden is missing a lot of this, by the way. What these downtime scenes are doing are furthering your subplots. Yes, your book needs to have the big plot, but it also needs to have smaller subplots going on. Whether there's some sort of relationship issue, whether it's platonic or romantic, or there is something that the character is trying to do that is very personal to them, that has might at some point intersect with the main plot, but in general might not actually have anything to do with the main plot at all. And what these scenes are called in the Japanese is ma. They're called, it's like a quiet time. And what we call them in the fan fiction universe is we call this slice of life. So a lot of times this crosses over again into show, don't tell. And a lot of these books where you don't put in the ma or the downtime or the slice of life of characters interacting with each other without the pressure of the big plot, you end up with a lot of things like these characters are falling in love, or these characters are great friends, or these characters just hate each other. And as a reader, you're being told this, but you're not being given the slice of life, the quiet ma type of scenes to show it. And a lot of times this does boil down to the fact that writing these types of relationship scenes is a lot more difficult to master because you're juggling a lot of characters and a lot of dialogue and a lot of pronouns and, you know, a lot of different voicing things than writing the culture of your world or going into a long paragraph about blacksmithing. It is, or coming up with the history of your city, because you have to know how people act and interact and how dialogue works. It is a skill. So a lot of times people want to kind of avoid it, and they're told through, you know, every scene must further the plot that, you know, they shouldn't put in this type of self-indulgent type of thing, or they shouldn't put in this type of slice of life kind of writing because it doesn't move the plot along. When you have both an external plot, which could be, you know, your genre plot of whatever that is, you know, there's a volcano going off, or you're fighting against your mortal enemy, or the world is about to end, or the aliens are invading, whatever your external plot is, you're lost in space. I have one of those. I have lots of ideas. But your internal plot, you have the internal plot. You have what is the character going through in their mind that makes the external plot to them important. What are their stakes? Why, you know, do they want to take on the aliens? Okay, so Independence Day, the original one. So in Independence Day, the aliens are invading, and you have these different. You have like 4 different people. You've got the fighter jet pilot, the Marine. You have the TV repair guy. You have the President of the United States, and you have this crop duster's family. Why are they all fighting the aliens? Okay, what is important to them on Earth that they are going to fight the aliens? So, okay, fighter jet guy. He wants to get engaged and adopt his girlfriend's son. And to him, you know, okay, this is part of my job is taking on the aliens because I'm a fighter jet pilot. But to him, it's really important that he makes sure that his girlfriend and the little boy he wants to adopt survive, so he can marry her. He really, you know, he's got the ring, you know, he also really wants to go up into space. So those are the 2 internal things going on, and there's these scenes with his co-pilot that, you know, finding the engagement ring, getting this letter from NASA to say, you know, they're rejecting him as an astronaut type of thing. Things that might not seem important to the overall alien story. The aliens are coming and we have to fight them, but are important to him as a person. The president, well, he's got the first ladies all the way across the country in California, and he's got his daughter And it's more than just everybody in the United States of America, all these huge cities that he needs to evacuate because he is the president of the United States and commander of the armed forces. But he's his wife. He's got to make sure that his wife gets out safely and his daughter gets out safely and his staff gets out safely. This is very important to him. And he also used to be a fighter pilot, and he very much feels that his place is in the air. He doesn't like being on the ground and watching this all happen. He wants to be up there. He wants to be helping defend his country and Earth from the aliens. The TV repair guy. Well, the TV repair guy is his ex-wife is the president's chief of staff, and that, or her, not the chief of staff, the press secretary. She's basically his press secretary, and, he wants her to get out of there because he still loves her, and, but he's got this degree, he knows how the satellites work, he's the one that got the smarts, and he's the one who's like, figuring out what the aliens are. And he really he wants to get to his wife to tell her that the countdown's happening, that the aliens cannot be reasoned with, and so everybody can get away. And, he's got his dad and all that. So you think, well, all these scenes of the TV repair guy and he and his dad playing chess and all that, that's not important, but it is important because it establishes his stakes in the matter. And then the crop duster guy, well, the crop duster guy had been abducted by these aliens a long time ago, and he was also a fighter pilot, and it had just changed his entire life. But now he's got this family, and his daughter is his son is sick. His daughter is not sick. His son is sick, and he's got this family, and now he wants to take on the aliens, A, to get his revenge, and B, to make sure his family makes it. So you have all these kind of establishing scenes of all these different characters that don't really move along the plot of, oh my god, the aliens are invading. I mean, the ones that move along the plot the most are the ones from the TV repair guy, because he's the one figuring out how to, how to get past the shields, and the countdown is happening and everything. But all this other establishing stuff, this kind of quiet stuff, is giving you attachment to the characters. It's advancing the subplots of he wants to marry the girl, that they're trying to get medicine for the boy, that maybe the father needs to the TV repair guy is working on refinding his face. All of these different things that eventually all tied together when they get to Area 51 and learn more about the aliens and then go out and nuke the aliens, but that sort of thing. The story would be really bare bones and really fast and over very quickly if we didn't have these establishing character scenes, these quiet scenes of him getting the newspaper, them playing chess, or just things like that. But it's all very much edited and revised to move along the plot. Okay? They move the subplots and you get through the main plots. And it shows you the devastation of the aliens, destroying these cities and how it works. And, you really learn to care about the dog. Does the dog die? No, thank God. Things like that. So when you are writing your book, first off, you need to think about what type of book it is. Like, Dresden's Files urban fantasy books, they don't have a lot of these kind of scenes. They don't have a lot of quiet scenes, because those end up taking place off screen, because he's writing this kind of action mystery type of style of book where he's put so much type of complicated stuff, and he doesn't have a lot of time to do more than introduce you to characters, and it's first person, so everything's from Harry's point of view. There's not always a lot of time to have these quiet type of scenes. Whereas, say, my urban fantasy, it's a lot more slice of life. The stakes aren't nearly so high. Most of the time, Dresden has 3 days to save the world, and I'm like rolling my eyes like, okay, here we go again, must be Tuesday. You feel like you're back watching Buffy, but even Buffy had more quieter scenes in it to advance these subplots along of, Buffy and her friends and Buffy and her romance life and, her friends having romances and things like that. And even the villains having romances. So you have to decide, to yourself, how much of your subplots are taking up word count in your book. How important are they? Like I was working on my vampire rom-com, and I was going to myself, reading these scenes and going, I'm not sure if these advance the plot. Should I be taking these out? And then I reread, this advice about, remember, you're not only just advancing your plot, you're also advancing your subplot. And I do have a subplot of romance in these books. It's a romantic comedy, that's kind of baked in. Even if it feels like this plot about the resistance and about the Great Party have kind of, obscured the romance part of it, then I need to remember that these scenes are important, that them making Flan together, she makes Flan in book 1, and now they're in book 3, they're making Flan together, is important for, not only advancing her relationship with the young boy that she's become attached to, who works in the kitchen and is the son of one of the vampires that she's also friends with, but it's also important to advance the relationship between her and the king. They are now bonding over cooking. He's invading a little on the cooking time between her and the young boy, and, she's been away. He missed her. And, but this is advancing their relationship. Going on dates is, having a little date in the kitchen is advancing their relationship. So it's not something that I need to take out because it's still advancing the plot. Okay. Did it need to be almost 2,500 words? I don't know, but it is, so we're gonna leave it that way. We'll see when I get to the revising part of it if I need to go and cut some of that out. Perform surgery. But remember, as you become more experienced as a writer, you will be able to start, going, this is something that advances the plot and the subplot. You'll be able to see, the dead spots. What can be removed without, losing things from the story, but what does need to be in there to advance your story. A lot of books, I'm sorry to say, try to include a romance and then don't include the scenes to make that romance work. And a lot of times when I'm reading these books with romance subplots in them, I start getting a lot of red flags. You go on a date with somebody you've just met, and all of a sudden you're trauma dumping. I don't, sharing your past with this person, and I'm just going, check, please. like, it's just, a lot of times you're so focused on the main plot of the book as a writer that the subplot to make it a romance, sometimes that romance doesn't need to be there just because there is not enough time in your plot to put that romance in there. But you have to take that time to put in the scenes to make us believe that she is really close with this sibling, or this group of friends is, is really tight, or this guy is, kind of a maverick and rebel compared to the rest of everybody else here, so you can't just tell us that, you have to show us that. And that's words, that's scenes, and that's part of your subplot if it's important, and if it advances the book along, either, you know, character-wise or plot-wise or subplot-wise, then it's okay to include what you might feel is self-indulgent writing or something like that, okay? Or the slice of life style of writing. Strongly recommend Spirited Away to understand the concept of moth, that quietness. Just, and it's more than just, you know, it visually sometimes it can be that train ride type of thing, which is, it's a lot harder to do something that visual in a book, okay, and make it kind of feel and flow correctly. It's kind of like writing a dance in the book. It's writing a dance or writing a fight. It's all about, it's not really about the dance at that point. It's about how the other characters are reacting to the dance. But it still can be a very quiet thing, a very slice of life thing that can move your plot along, both, you know, character-wise and, you know, like the fight. The fight is not about the clashing of swords. It's about the clashing of wills between the characters. Whether it's a dialogue fight or a fight with a sword, it's, you know, who is going to come up out on top in this battle of wills, where it's almost the fight itself is almost kind of inconsequential. All right. Take care of yourselves, my lovelies. Bless, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.